Let's reflect on the sentencing further and what it means for the safety of children in light of Child Protection Week. We now speak to Bianca van Aswegen, who is the National Coordinator from the Missing Children South African. Bianca, good evening to you and thank you so much for your time. I sigh, just before we even start to speak because yes, the trio are now behind bars for life, but we still have no knowledge of where the little girl is. And I suppose that could be of little comfort to that community as well.
Good evening, Bungiwe. Yes, I think that is one of the main things that we would like to have seen come from this trial is more answers than questions in the whereabouts of Joshlin. The accused have or may have been sentenced today to life imprisonment, but I think it's also a life sentence to South Africa, just not for Joshlin, but all the other children that are currently still missing.
And when we speak about, the children that are still currently missing, and one would say, yes, right now we are seeing a conviction, but are we that lucky as a country to see more people behind bars in some of these cases?
Unfortunately not. We've got so many children that are currently still missing. Even children dating back to the 1980s that have not yet been found. A lot of these perpetrators are reoffending, they're out on parole. We are not getting those offenders in some of these cases because of the children not being found yet. And I think it feels like South Africa is a graveyard for missing children.
Where are we getting it wrong?
I think it's because we as a community, we as South Africa need to take a step back and start looking at the accountability of parents, guardians and the communities in safeguarding our children firstly. Safety starts at home. If the child has not been supervised and left out on the street, being able to go to the park by themselves or walking to the shops by themselves, that is putting our children in a vulnerable position to fall victim to these crimes. So I think we really need to take a step back and look at our fundamental challenges that we look at, and that is within our households and why these children aren't being safeguarded.
And when we speak, right, of the safeguarding of children and child neglect, sometimes the issue of substance abuse can come up, right? And with communities using that potentially as a reason as to why we're seeing in some of these cases the number of children that go missing. But is it enough for us to talk about the issue of potential substance abuse, or are there other avenues that we may not be looking at here?
Substance abuse, yes, does play a factor, but I think this is also where community members need to stand up, report cases where they know children are in households where substance abuse is prevalent, report it to the Department of Social Development so that a social worker can intervene in the matter. A child can be removed and put into a place of safety, so we can actually save more children than actually putting them in harm's way.
Bianca, when we, speak to different officials, they often give you different responses to this particular question, but I'm keen to hear your thoughts on this one. Would you say, right now, we are in Child Protection Week as a country. Is there a child protection crisis in South Africa?
Well, with the number of children going missing that we're seeing as an organization, definitely, and especially regarding the circumstances around how children are actually going missing, whether it's children being left unattended or parents, as in the case of Joshlin, where a biological mother is actually the accused in the case of selling off her own child. So yes, child protection in our country is a crisis. Children going missing is a crisis, and we need to go back to the drawing board and change things so we can change the future for our children in South Africa.
And there's another case that has gripped headlines, and that is the case of Olerato Mongale. And this is a matter that started off as one where everybody around her thought that she may be missing. There is a gentle nudge that might need to be put in place so that for her to come back home, or anybody who might spot it, to just let her know that her family misses her. But we know how much of a dark turn things have taken in that particular matter. And we're now hearing of a possible syndicate here that could be, terrorizing women as well, and young women in particular. It does speak, though, to the fact that some of these crimes we see are not just a missing person or a person who may have been killed, but there could be potentially organized criminality happening here.
Definitely, but I think we need to also look at people thought she might be missing. They waited and thought that she might come home. So this is where the importance of reporting a matter immediately so action can be taken. People do believe that they have to wait 24 hours before reporting a person as missing. That is not the case. Unfortunately, a lot of the missing people, missing children, are falling victims to organized crime, for instance, or syndicates, very sophisticated syndicates. Might it be kidnapping syndicates or that of human trafficking? So reporting the matter is what is absolutely crucial in reporting that person so action can be taken.
So Bianca, as a parent, because I'm sure there's many of them who are watching us tonight and they do have children who go to school and all of that, what information do we give to our little ones in order to ensure that they don't respond to strangers and all of that? What are some of the tips that we should be arming our children with in the morning when they go to work, or even just in different conversations we have with them?
Yes, and that is one of the things that we love to reiterate, is just families sitting around a normal dinner table without cell phones in hand, especially our teenagers, because social media does pose a very big danger to our children. Just having a normal conversation with our children, finding out what is going on in their lives. Is there bullying going on maybe at school that might be a reason for them to run away? We just don't know. But I think our safety starts at home. So we as a family need to protect our children. We need to implement safety measures. We always tell our children, stay in a group of friends. We call it the buddy system. Never go anywhere alone, especially in public areas, public bathrooms, and always know, especially parents, know where your children are at all times and whom they're with. We used to teach our children stranger danger, but that's not always the case anymore. It's people that these children actually know. And this is where the conversation part comes in. If your child tells you that they do feel uncomfortable with a certain person, there's inappropriate comments, inappropriate touching happening, please listen and do something about it, because the majority of these cases, we do see the perpetrators actually being known to the children.
So how do we create the safe spaces then for them to even come forward to have these conversations with us as parents?
It's an open trust relationship that we need to have with our children. We need to put them in such a place that they feel so safe at home that they will come and speak to you about anything that actually bothers them. This is also where it comes in, especially with our teenagers, with our cell phones that's posing such a danger to them. You have to have such a relationship with your child that they are going to give you their phones to actually check and make sure nothing is wrong. So we need to implement these measures from a very young age so the comfort is there within our households, so we know we've given our children the opportunity to come and speak to us when there's something that bothers them.
I suppose then, especially when you speak about the issue of checking their cell phones, because at times we you know, as parents, we may be so busy and we don't even have time to do this. Or also, you know, some parents will say, I don't want to encroach or even, you know, impede on their privacy. So what you're saying is that we need to know who our children are talking to at all times and know exactly some of the sites that they're visiting, as well as some of the conversations that they could be having on these different sites.
Definitely. And I think parents especially kind of forget about the fact that that cell phone still belongs to them. A child under the age of 18 cannot recur a phone, so the phone does not belong to them. So the parents have the right to actually take the phone and see what they're doing, what are they doing, what are the messages they are sending on social media apps. And it's not just social media, and parents also need to realize it might be online gaming sites. So it's not the stranger out on the streets, but it's actually the perpetrator luring in our children's bedrooms at night unknowingly, that poses a very big danger to them.
Bianca, appreciate your time and some of the tips this afternoon. Do appreciate it. That was Bianca van Aswegen, the National Coordinator from Missing Children South Africa.